Passover begins this Monday night, so there are two initial nights of Passover, Monday night and Tuesday night, and those are the days when we have a big family meal, and that we call that the Seder. And that usually that's everyone together, the grandparents, the parents, the children, the cousins, you know, everyone comes together and has this big festive meal together.
I remember Pesach as a really sweet sort of event, you know?
On this Passover it's a lot of eggs and potato.
What exactly is Pesach? What is about, right? It's about coming out from being a slave to be a free person on the voyage to the Promised Land.
So what we have here is what we call the Seder plate, and this holds all the symbolic foods at the meal. And as you can see, there are indentations for the different foods.
This would be what the Seder plate would have looked like in my house, where we have the salt water to remind us of the tears shed by the slaves, and the bone, which we would have had sometimes chicken bones, sometimes shank bone from a lamb, the bitter herbs for the bitterness of slavery, the paroset to represent the mortar from the bricks used to build the pyramids when the Jews were slaves there. The egg on our Seder plate represented, say, a new beginning and a new life. Now we're free.
It's very similar to what my grandparents would have had. The only difference there would be, it would normally be a lamb shank bone and not a chicken or a chicken wing. It was always a shank bone.
What's great about Dublin now is that with all the different companies here, the multinationals, there's this influx of people from so many different countries. So the Jewish community has benefited in that we have people with all these different very rich backgrounds. You know, Moroccan traditions, Yemenite traditions, Tunisian, you know, all different. And it's fascinating where their grandparents came from and what those traditions were, what they ate and what they sang, and the rich flavour of that heritage which they each picked up in their home town and home country.
My parents came from Georgia, Russia, and in every house you can see that soup. It's a special soup. We made it from nuts, and I asked my mother and my grandmother, why that soup? Why? What's so special? And they told me because we can't eat bread on Pesach, so we can take the matzah and put it inside.
When the Israelites were slaves in Egypt and they had to leave urgently and very, very quickly, their bread, which was cooking, didn't have enough time to rise. So they left urgently, and this is what they took with them, the matzah, which is, we know as unleavened bread.
Oh yes,
I love this.
There's also a spiritual dimension to that, which is that bread and kind of this puffed up bread represents ego and arrogance, and the matzah cracker represents humility. And so what we're doing effectively is we're removing arrogance from our homes and haughtiness and bringing in humility. I think that's a message we could all do with a little bit of humility.
Very good. Very, very good.
Yeah. My parents came from Tunisian, and I made a dish called banataz. It's made from mashed potato and chicken and eggs. When I asked my father why we eat this dish in Passover, so he told me that because there is no bread and we need to eat something, so it's a good dish for Passover.
My parents from Morocco, and I made chicken with lemon and broad beans. It's because Moroccans don't eat legume, so we have to eat something natural, and the broad beans is from this, exactly. And it's very tasty, and it's special for Passover.
Generally the meal is the same, and generally the text is the same. The book that we call the Haggadah is generally pretty much the same. There are slight nuances and difference. Lots of those differences come down to Ashkenaz Jews or Sephardic Jews, which is basically refers to the locations they came from.
There's also the cup of wine for Elijah. Yeah. And when we come to a certain part in the Haggadah, which we read, we open the door, the front door, while this prayer is being said,
One of the things that Sivan was saying about the command that like the part of the bread that used to be starched and let the children look for it and they will get some reward.
There was lots of symbolism to it. There was lots of singing. There's lots of wine drunk, so people get tipsy. So it's kind of a fun, memorable atmosphere.
My grandparents were all Iraqis, and one of the dishes that we do could be for Pesach, could be in general for any other time. So it's basically containing of eggs, chicken and rice. Now the way we do it, this is a dish that is being cooked for hours. So let's say in total about 7-8 hours.
My parents are originally from Yemen, and the dish that I present, it's actually a kind of a pate of some dry fruit. Now the dish itself is symbolize the mortar that the slave used to use in Egypt. It contains dates, apple, pears, walnuts, pecan nuts and sesame seeds, and it's all mashed into fine paste, and it's been eaten with a dipping of lettuce in it.
Depending where you came from, Jews have been spread in so many countries across the globe that they've all picked up different customs from where they live.
My family is entirely Jewish. My father is Italian Jewish, which is pretty unique. My mother was born in Israel. Her parents are French and Romanian, so the food in my house was always really delicious, culturally diverse. I cook Jewish food to feel reconnected to home when I miss home, or when I want to celebrate a holiday but maybe there isn't anyone close to me who celebrates the same holiday. Cooking that food and then sharing that food with those people is a way to celebrate together. So it's up to me anyway to teach people and feed people with this traditional food. And if you're going to teach somebody about your culture, food I think is a great way to get a warm response, to get people to really want to be involved in it too. I made this cake earlier. It's a chocolate pudding cake. Specifically for Passover, we would definitely have cake and dessert that doesn't have any wheat or flour in it.
One of the traditions which takes place immediately after Passover, and not all Jews do this, this is specifically actually Jews of Moroccan origin. They have a festival called Mimouna, and Mimouna is basically bringing out all the bread. You know, they've gone for 8 days without bread products, and so it's a wonderful way to finish the festival with all the family and friends over, enjoying a meal of bread and bread products.
The Mimouna, it's a big celebration. In the evening, everybody go fast to buy a flour and make a lot of kind of sweets. It's an open door, everybody can come and enjoy. It's called sponge. It's sweet, it's very sweet. It came also from the Morocco. The main food, the imported food, it's called mofleta. It's from flour and water. We put it in the little fries. It comes with honey. We put the honey like this. And we're going to eat it like this. And everybody very love it. It's very, very tasty. And it's going like this. And everybody eat, not just one.
The message of freedom and of the importance of being free and no one being oppressed or enslaved. That message is the same for everyone. So the foods may be slightly different, the songs may be slightly different, the tunes may be slightly different, but that core message rings, you know, through every seder of every Jewish family across the world.